3737 bug. Yo guys, what is up? Moxsy in our first Descendant video, and today we're going over my setup that I recommend for Wall Crasher. Now, Wall Crasher is a big beefy boy. He has a ton of HP. He is going to be a sustained fight. My fastest kill on him so far is 2 minutes, but I've heard of fights taking very long. It really kind of partly depends on what kind of group you get put into. And so if you can't control the randoms that you're playing with, you can control the build that you bring. And the build that I'm presenting today is ridiculously high damage. You'll be hitting multiple billions any Wall Crasher fight that you do. It's got a ton of HP. You have infinite MP, and you'll dish out a ton of damage. I hope you guys enjoy the breakdown. Let's get right into it. So the first thing to talk about is Wall Crasher himself. So during the Wall Crasher fight, there's a few things that you need to understand just right off the rip. The first thing is that he does have a small mechanic, and that is Wall Crasher drops these purple, like, AoE pylons that deal damage. However, if you kill all of the pylons, you can get Wall Crasher into a downed state in which you and all of your teammates will deal a bunch of additional damage to him. So if you are not killing the pylons during your fight, you are going to have a slower kill than if you did kill the pylons. You want to make sure that those things are dying. Now, the other thing to understand about Wall Crasher is he's equally resistant to all damage types. So regardless of if you're bringing like fire or shock or toxic, whatever, he's equally resistant to everything. So it doesn't really matter what element you build. You just want to build into the element that is best for you. And then the next thing to understand is for Serena, where we're going to be airborne all the time. All of the ammo and MP drops are going to be on the ground. We never want to be on the ground because there's a bunch of damage on the ground, but also anytime we're on the ground, we're going to be not dealing as much damage as we can be. So the build that I'm using is going to allow you to infinitely sustain up in the air. So let's talk builds now. So on Serena, this is the build that I'm rocking. I've messed around a ton with different mods and different setups, and this is... there's a lot of little min-maxing that you can do. You can't really get the whole picture just from seeing my Serena build because there's different ways to play her, and I think this is the best, but there's other setups that work as well, but I don't think they're quite as good. And so the first thing to talk about is multi-talented. Now, originally I was using multi-talented, and this allows you, after you use your 3, to get a bunch of cooldown, and if you do that, you don't need to put as much duration mods on. You don't need to use any focus mods. Multi-talented frees up a bunch of slots because it's going to give you a ton of cooldown on the fight for your 4th ability, which is the #1 priority. The things that we want are infinite MP sustain and 100% uptime on our 4th ability, and multi-talented is great for that. So why am I not using that? The reason I'm not using that is for a few reasons. One, user error. The fight is hectic. If you accidentally don't hit your 3 before you use your 4, you are going to have a significant window where you're not dealing as much damage, which sucks. You want to be 100% uptime on your damage. So user error is one thing. If you're playing perfectly, multi-talented is great. However, in order to not use multi-talented, the sacrifice that we're making is using Final Wish. Now, this gives us 37 skill cost when we are using our 4th to attack enemies, which is 100% of the time. And with the skill cost from Final Wish, plus the skill cost of Maximize Conservation, plus the skill cost of Arche Leak, which rolls with a flat skill cost amount, we will actually have so much MP gain that we will be regenning MP in the fight while flying and spamming all of our abilities. It is actually impossible for you to run out of MP. When I was using multi-talented, I could sustain the current amount of MP that I had, but I'd have to swap to a weapon like the Perforator or the Wave of Light to get MP back, because while you're flying in the air with Serena, if you hit him in a weak point with a impact rounds weapon, you'd get MP. And I thought that was fine, and it's definitely a good strategy. However, the issue with that is it's time that you're spending not shooting, and we are optimizing for 100% uptime on DPS. So with Final Wish, you never need to pull out a weapon that allows you to regain MP, because you're not going to lose any MP. So for the rest of the build, we are going to be putting on a bunch of HP. We're going to be using HP Increase and Stim Accelerant to give us a lot of HP. We're just off of 39k HP. I don't have like gold rolls on like my max HP components, so I could get up a little bit higher, but we're at as much HP as we could. We are not using overwhelming HP plus overwhelming shield, even though it's good. We're using double external components that all, or quadruple external components that all have HP rolls. So without one shield roll, we're not getting a lot out of using 2 modules just for shield. It was giving me like a few K extra, and we're basically capped anyways. So it was a little bit overkill and not all that helpful. In place of that, we're going to be using some focus mods. Focus mods are going to give us 100% uptime on our 4. It doesn't matter what focus mods. You could use focus on non-attribute or whatever. Just 2 focus mods. They don't actually benefit you besides the cooldown. But as you can see here, we've got, well, my camera's blocking it a little bit, but our cooldown is 20 seconds and our uptime from Redemption's Judgment is 24 seconds. So no awkward making sure you hit one button, or if you throw your 1 before you use your 4, or you throw your 1 and then use your 3, but the multi-talented procced on the 1 and not on the 3, there's like 0 chance that you can mess up. Your 4 is just up 100% of the time. Plus we get the extra fire rate from Shell Crusher, which is really nice. So this is the Serena build. If you want to screenshot it, I won't mouse over anything right now, so you can screenshot it and get the things you need. The other thing with Arche Leak, which is the new trigger module, to explain real quick, this rolls with flat skill cost, which is active all the time. Super nice. But whenever you use a continuous damage skill, which is your 1, you get MP back. And that is going to allow us, with enough skill cost, to regain MP. You're going to get MP recovery skill on use. And the thing that's important is offsetting the skill cost of using the skill with the amount of MP recovery that we get back from using the skill. And with Final Wish active, that is what is happening. So anytime you use your 1, you're actually going to get MP back. And using your 1 is really important because it's going to give you round recovery. You are going to be, whenever you use your 1, you're going to be getting ammo back, which means that you have 100% sustain on your Ancient Knight, which what we're going to be using to shoot Wall Crasher. So the next thing to talk about is the Ancient Knight. We're going to be using the Ancient Knight because it has great synergy with multi-hit. Its unique ability is stacking multi-hit damage. Multi-hit's going to be really strong with us because Serena has synergies with multi-hit and being airborne with her 2. We also get to proc her 4th ability when we are multi-hitting multiple times. And with the build that we're going to be using on the Ancient Knight, we are getting, like, I think it's around 5 times damage on all of our shots with over 100% multi-hit chance, which is just kind of ridiculous. So the Ancient Knight is what we're going to be using. The big reason to use something like an Albion Cavalry or another gun is like larger mag size, but you're only using that if you're having mana issues, so you don't have to dash as much. But because we have infinite mana, we don't really need to dash. Or because we have infinite mana, we don't mind dashing, because we'll never run out. So Ancient Knight works really well for us. Now, the build that we're using is going to look really funky, and that is because this build is specifically built for Wall Crasher. Thankfully, Wall Crasher is in the training room, and I've spent the better part of 4.5 hours now just testing each individual mod on this to see what gives the most damage. For example, putting on like rifle reinforcement here, which we are not using, is straight up less damage than using like weak point sight. And that is because Wall Crasher, unlike a lot of other bosses, has like very, very easy to hit massive weak points. And so we're going to be focusing on mainly weak point damage and multi-hit damage and multi-hit chance. And another thing that we're going to be using that's a little bit weird is multi-circulation. A lot of times that you're bossing on Serena, you're doing it solo. Multi-circulation is going to give us 16% multi-hit damage, which stacks up to 5 times for like almost 90% increased multi-hit damage, or more multi-hit damage whenever we buff an ally. And every time that we dash with him, we're going to provide our allies with a movement speed increase, which counts as a buff, which then stacks more multi-hit damage for us. So like when you're fighting Wall Crasher, you're going to be fighting with teammates. So this is like fantastic. Multi-hit induction whenever we're hitting weak points is going to be stacking multi-hit chance. This is almost an additional 60% multi-hit chance So this is going to give us over 100% chance to multi-hit. And once again, we're dealing like 5 times damage whenever we're multi-hitting. We've also got have aiming and weak point sight, fire rate up. We do kind of have to use fire enhancement just because the Ancient Knight has like blue cores or blue slots for fire damage. You don't need to invest into any more element technically than using fire enhancement, because Wall Crasher is resistant to all elements, or equally resistant to all elements. So it's not like we're getting a damage multiplier on him by using a specific element. And then we have to use mag size just because we are going to be shooting very fast. And so mag size is actually a pretty big damage increase. For your cores, you're going to want double fire rates, firearm attacks, and fire attack. The like free slot is a bit up to you. I had fire attack there previously, and then we changed it to fire rate, and it increased my damage pretty substantially against Wall Crasher. You could also go for like multi-hit if you wanted to, or multi-chance. Between the 3, fire rate should win out damage-wise between all of them. The big thing is if you're going to run double fire rates, just make sure that you are using your 1 against Wall Crasher. You literally should never have a single ammo issue as long as you're using your 1, because your 1 gives you round recovery. That's really loud. But as you can see, like every time I'm shooting him, I just go back to 400 ammo. Every time I shoot him, I go back to max ammo, because my 1 has like a 15-second duration on him. As long as you're shooting at him with your 1, you have round recoveries. So just make sure you're using your 1 pretty often, and you should be more than fine. For the substats, I'm rocking multi-hit damage, multi-hit chance, fire attack, and bonus firearm attack versus Colossus. If you wanted to swap out the fire attack, I think you could squeak out a little bit more damage with weak point or firearm attack. Of those, I'd probably recommend weak point, but that is what I've got on my like substats. For the Arche Tuning on the board, you're going to want to go and grab the multi-hit chance, multi-hit damage nodes. Get the aimed shot accuracy, and then you're going to want to make sure that you go down and get HP. Now, I wasn't sure what does more damage for Serena, spending all of these points on HP, or spending them all on more firearm attack, more damage modifiers and values, picking up the bonus firearm attack versus Colossus, and I was able to squeak out an extra 4 million DPS going for HP, then going for more firearm damage to Colossus, all of that. HP is very, very important for this build and for your 4th build. Make sure that you do not forsake it. If you're dealing not as much damage, it's probably because you're not speccing as much HP. For the inversion reinforcements, you're going to want fire focus rounds to add additional fire attack to your weapon, strike point amplification for increasing weak point damage, and firearm control mechanisms so that you get more multi-hit damage. For the reactors and components, I am using a duration and cooldown reactor. You could use skill cost. You don't really need any more cost, to be honest with you. The like element of the reactor doesn't matter. It does not benefit this build. Any skill damage increases do not benefit this build, so you do not need to worry about them. Just use whatever reactor has good substats for you. And then the components, we're going to be using the Ascending set and the Shell Crusher set for extra fire rate and also additional skill cost. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Wall Crasher has been an interesting fight. I'm going to be honest. Like, he's kind of just a big sack of HP. I really do wish that the devs had considered adding something that like changes the fight mid-fight, to be honest. Like maybe Wall Crasher like breaks down the walls of the arena, or like starts throwing them at you, or like if you ever fought like Valstrax and Monster Hunter, Valstrax does this like meteor comet that comes down. Similar boss in Elden Ring had it, where the boss would like come down and do this like big slam attack, something that made the fight more dynamic, because right now it's basically just shooting at a single point for like 4 minutes. Yeah, I do hope that they, for the next boss, they consider making it a bit of a more dynamic fight. But yeah, guys, that is going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.